sometimes we do, right? Sometimes these first-line therapies become important. If I am ever asked as a consultant pharmacist or requested in a facility to make some type of recommendation, I usually would like to start with the SSRI, which is an antidepressant family medication. And please stop us if we are speaking too much pharmacist. We tend to do that. So, but starting with an SSRI, which is an antidepressant, starting with citalopram, which is what's recommended, is kind of the least harmful way to go, right? There is an antipsychotic drug that's also first-line recommended, which is risperidone. Some of the other ones Alan talked about, he touched on Seroquel, which is quetiapine, olanzapine, aripiprazole. So those drugs are not recommended, especially for combative behavior, which is kind of an agitated behavior, because of the way they work. Risperidone works a different way. Because it works a different way, it's a little more effective in helping with combative behavior. So when we look at management, we started, one of the two drugs on the previous slide, and it's not working, right? So what do? We increase the dose, we look at another drug class. When you're looking at a second drug class to add on, carbamazepine, and I'll just raise your hand if you know what drug class, or what drug, or what disease state carbamazepine treats. Generally. Seizures, very good. So it's a seizure medication that is effective in behavior management. Why? Because it kind of works in the same way that it does in seizures. Because in seizures, lowering that stimulative threshold to cause somebody to have a seizure, it's kind of the same way that it works with agitation. You don't want somebody to be overstimulated and get to that agitated point where they become combative. And when they become combative, we all know that it's not, it's not just one act, right? They don't just punch one person. They don't just bite one person. Usually it becomes this ongoing thing that lasts a little while. So that's what we're trying to avoid. Carbamazepine does end up being pretty effective, especially as a second-line therapy with one of those other medications to kind of help our residents kind of keep more of a baseline, stay a little less likely to become combative. So there's some other therapies coming out. It's not just the ones we discussed, right? There's some investigational drugs. I actually did a little research. We have had this presentation for a little while, but that ABP 786 actually just had phase 3 trials completed at the beginning of this year. So that ended up, I think from what I read, I think falls was the biggest problem that they noticed so far. There's some other medications that they have investigated using. Gabapentin's been around for a while. It went from being a seizure medication to a pain medication to maybe now it's going to be helpful for combative behaviors. Some drugs they've shown no benefit, right? So some other seizure medications, which is what the first couple of these are, have not shown any effect. Melatonin, I know a lot of our providers like to try and sneak melatonin in there. I've seen it, give melatonin at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and that kind of stuff. The general idea of trying to kind of wind somebody down, it doesn't work. But it doesn't stop people from trying. We just usually recommend against it if anyone comes to us with any questions. So the next self-assessment question, pretty easy. Which of the following is second-line therapy to manage combative behavior? Very good. Very good. All right. You're on deck, sir. No drum roll again.